Gotta admit, it's about time that I designed the matching farmhouse table to go with the chair that we made. Here are the things that you need. Balsa wood will work just fine. About 8 of those square toothpicks, or you'll sand them to be square. Then you got your tacky glue, whatever colors. If you made the chair, then you kind of know how to do this, and you know that 3 colors is probably a good idea. Sanding, marking, cutting tools, and measuring. Now, these came out off of Temu, and I'll put a link for this product. Basically, this is a full scale, and I think this is for like maybe a stairway or something, but we're going to sand it a little bit and cut it down, and we're going to use it for our table. It'll work just fine. Let's start with the cutting. So for your balsa wood, you're going to cut 3 pieces. The first one is going to be 5.5 by 3, and this is in the details of the video. Then you're going to cut that 5.5 in half, so that's about 2.75. Okay, so it goes, you're cutting it the 2.75 width. Then you have one that is 4 by 2.6. That goes under the table. And then this is your leaf, which is 1.5 by 3. And don't forget to make sure your grain goes all in the same direction, especially with that leaf, because I screwed that up and then I had to recut it. No big deal. Now, I think I said that you needed 8 toothpicks, but really you needed 10, because you're going to cut 4 of these at 4 centimeters. And that's going to be the railing for this to pull apart. And for you to be able to put your leaf down in there. Then you need 4 at 2.5. Okay, that's going to be a lip, you'll see. And you just need 2 at 3 centimeters. Okay? Now, if you purchased these, then I'm going to show you where to cut them. If you didn't purchase these, if you want to use a bamboo skewer, for instance, then you can, and you can do kind of the whittling, as I called it, that we did on the chair on there. But if you did, then what we're going to do is we're going to make this, okay, you notice there's more space here between this and this little, I don't know, nodule. You want the one that has less space, okay? And then what we're going to do is we're going to cut this to where we have 2 nodules, just 2 left. And if you're doing your bamboo skewer, this height works out to be approximately 2.6. Okay, so if that's what you're doing, it'll be 2.6. So what you can do, and you can actually do this before you cut it, is we want this to come down just a little bit in scale. All right, this is for, you know, your full scale, like I said. And what we can do is we can just sand, and we sand just a little bit. We don't want to take out all of the detail, but we can kind of make this nodule a little bit less like rounded, and it'll make it look a little bit smaller. Okay, and it's not that big of a deal. It's just that our table will have very bulky legs. Okay, so when you are doing this, don't forget to sand everything. Even sand the toothpicks if there's anything that's kind of rough on those, because it's going to be easier to do it before you cut than later, because you might have to touch up with the sanding later, but you don't want to have to do the complete sanding. This is just a little bit too delicate for that. Okay, so go ahead and do your cutting. If you didn't do any sanding at all, take a moment to do a little bit of sanding, even for your toothpicks, and very gently for your balsa wood. Okay, so at this point, what I'm going to do is we'll put our leaf to the side and pick what you want to be the top of your table. So when the leaf is closed, it's one chair width, basically. Okay, so just kind of keep that in mind. This is the wrong side for me. I'm going to make it the wrong side, I think. And I kind of see, you know, which one fits together nicely. So I want this for the back. Okay, so with the back. Now, you're going to take your 4 centimeter, okay, your longest toothpicks. And what you're going to do, and this doesn't have to be like mathematically perfect, but approximately, oops, let's put this here to help. Approximately here, okay, toward this end. Don't put it all the way to the end, okay, approximately here, and then these would go approximately here. So what you want to do, and if you need to mark it, you can. It can be out a little bit, but we don't want to go so far as to interrupt this. Okay, now you're not going to glue these down all the same way. Okay, what you're going to do is you're going to, after you get this all set and ready to go, and I can move this a little bit this way, right? Okay, once you get that all ready to go, you're going to take the outside ones, and honestly, it doesn't matter if it's the outside or the inside, and we're gonna glue these first. So you don't glue over here, you're just gonna glue these down on this half, okay? So let's go ahead and do that. I'm gonna glue this, and I just have the other one there to help me prop this up. So about half. I just need it on one side. So about like so. I use this to help me. I could move that a little bit. So we're going to do that. Then we're going to do the same thing again, same side. Same. And out a little bit. It's going to stabilize our leaf mechanism. Sounds very official. The leaf mechanism. Okay. So I have that side. I may want to wait for that to dry just a little bit before I move on. But I need to show you. I'm not going to wait. You probably should wait. Now what I'm going to do, and I do want to be careful on this because I don't want to glue them to each other. What I want to do is just be much more careful about my glue. Keep it under control. And what I'm going to do is just, I'm gluing it to this side. And I can, in this case, it doesn't matter too much which is on the inside and which is on the outside. Okay, but that gives me my placement. I want to make sure everything is even, that goes up against the other one nicely, nice and tight. And I'm going to do the same thing here, and then I will actually pull these apart to make sure that they cannot glue to each other, or this will not work. It won't slide. Okay, so I get that, all right, like so, but I'm going to go ahead and pull that apart. Now that just moved on me, and I actually need to go back now, and I need to, I got to get that placed again, because I want this to move smoothly. So I actually have to go back in here and do that. And then wait a second maybe and hold it while I pull it apart. Okay. All right, now at this point in time, I do need to let that glue because you can probably see now how this works. It just slides out this way. And so if you have it slid out, then you can put your little leaf in here. And I'm gonna check and make sure everything is even. And if you have a little wonkiness on the side, then that's what sandpaper is for. So you're not gonna worry about it. So see, your leaf will go like that. So when it's out, right? And then when it's in, it's shut. Now, of course, we're not finished. Because now what we need to do, this is hopefully dry enough, I'm not gonna mess it. Okay, or so. And I should be able to glue a little skirting on here up on top of this. Oh. And I want this to be along the edge, not too much glue going on. And I can always sand since that's a little bit different. When I use that cutter for the toothpicks, I don't know if yours is like this, but it doesn't cut really as well as I like. But the thing about toothpicks is I find that this thing is really the best thing for cutting toothpicks, but it's still not great. Because I did measure these very, very carefully, and you can tell it's not quite the same. Okay, so now what we do is we're putting what essentially stabilizes this whole table and allows the leaf action to work. So I want to be careful to only glue this side, or pick a side, but this is the side that I pick. And I'm going to glue this in such a way that if I were to put my leg here, okay, this goes just inside that, okay? So that's how you kind of measure it, is put your leg there, and then you want to glue, hopefully you can see this, right? That's the amount of space that you need. Okay, so if you made your leg out of this, or if you made the leg out of the bamboo skewer, it doesn't matter. Make sure that this is glued on the inside of that, okay? And we are only going to glue here and here. It's not necessary to glue anywhere else around the edges or anything like that, because it's really not going to show that much on the side. But I will tell you that when we do this, in fact, I'm going to use a toothpick. Try to be careful to only get the glue on the top of this. If you get it on the sides, then the little mechanism won't slide as nice and neat. So we really just want this and just on this top, however much glue is necessary. So before I put this down, I want to make sure my table leg will fit in there, and it does. And so now just make sure it's nicely placed with the same amount of distance here on both sides, and I can hold this down, okay, until that dries. Now what I want to show you here while that dries, I'm going to put it this way, is see how this now, as long as you don't take this all the way out like that, then this now will move smoothly, and you just put your little thing in here. And then it's not even on both sides, but that's because that would actually require me designing this completely differently, and it would be much harder to do. In real life, you know, this would go out to here and cover up that part, but it's not going to really show. And so I didn't really worry about that for a miniature. So when it's closed, of course, see, this will come across and I have enough room for my legs here. As long as I measure, then it should be just fine. Now, like I said, like I notice here, there's a little bit of an imperfection. I can do my sanding a little bit on this side, it looks like, and kind of finish that off. I would go ahead and maybe do your painting next. It's up to you if you want to go ahead and glue these in and then paint. It's just that if you recall from doing the chair, you have to do like a little bit of sanding to get that weathered look. And it might be more of a pain, in some people's opinions, to glue this and then have to deal with sort of sanding and holding it various directions in order to do that. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is paint now instead of worrying about it with the legs on. So you only need to paint what shows. So the sides aren't going to show, like this part in here isn't going to really show that much, and this part won't show that much. But I would go ahead and just go ahead and do across there. I wouldn't bother to do the ends of these or the bottom or any of that. Just do the sides and the tops. I would put my leaf in while I'm doing this so that it looks like it's all one across there. And then I would probably go ahead and do my legs. So a quick reminder on how to do this. The first thing that I decided for my first, I did this, it's going to match the other piece. It's going to match the little chair. Is I sort of just did a really, really thin coat of raw umber, okay, as if this had been stained that color at some point in time. And then I wait for that to dry, and then I went and I did the blue. And I kind of made sure that if I needed to knock off any little bits for that. And then I did the white. And after I did the white is where I really went in and I did my sanding to get that weathered look. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and do. So I did my first coat. And then now what I'm going to do is go ahead and do the blue as my middle coat. And this is the one, just as a reminder, that we want to put on to where it really, you can see I wasn't really careful here, but I want to have a nice even coat on this, because when I go to sand, when I do my white, then I want this to be thick enough, and I don't want just the brown to come through. I want the blue with just a little bit of brown coming through. Let the blue, or whatever your medium color, the in-between color is, let that dry really, really well before you put on your top color. After I paint the white, I'm going to go ahead and sand to get a matching look as my chair. I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I will show you the final product when I'm finished. But if you're going to go ahead and shut off the video, don't forget to subscribe first.